So our first thing here that we're talking about is whether or not we can control a thought. In your second paragraph, in our second paragraph, we're talking about uh, there are so it shows that we don't have control over our emotions or our thoughts. And so some people would probably disagree with the fact that we got control over our thoughts. So let me ask you a
Well, of
question.
course, everybody would think that.
So the question is, okay, so if we do a thought experiment, okay?
Okay.
And I ask you, okay, let's see, I think I've got some money here. Okay, I think this is about $800. Okay. So if I said, Dave, I'll give you this $800 if for the next 10 minutes you don't think about orange pigs.
Orange pigs?
Orange pigs. What was the first thing happened when I said orange pigs?
I didn't think of orange pigs, but I pictured one.
You pictured an orange pig.
I started picturing an orange, and then it sort of morphed into a pig or something.
Okay, so your thoughts went to an orange pig, even though there was this much money.
Well, to be fair, I thought of the money first. So,
But you couldn't keep your attention on the money because we can't move away from a thought. So we can't control our thoughts.
So should we define what a thought is then? Instead, like,
Okay,
if
so
you tell people they don't have control of their thoughts, they're going to be like freaking out.
well, that's a good question. What is the definition of thought? So let's see if we can come up with a definition. Okay. So because literally we have to define these words if we're going to have people.
Yeah, because you think a thought, people think, well, that is me. That's what I do. Is I think all day. How do you say I don't control that? Because I am the one that's doing the thinking.
Okay. So let's look up Webster's Dictionary for thought. Thought one. We'll do the thought. An idea or opinion produced by thinking or occurring suddenly in the mind.
Occurring suddenly in the mind, just pops in there. Yeah. How many definitions are there?
There's quite a few. Another one is one's mind or attention. Okay. So next one, act of considering or remembering someone or something.
Yeah.
Okay. An intention, hope, or an idea of doing or receiving something. Now, see, they use the word intention in here. An intention. Okay.
Unfortunately, when there's that many definitions, it's like they're trying to cover all the bases, and it gets really muddy.
So the action or process of thinking. So we were talking about controlling one's thoughts or controlling one's thinking, right?
Yeah.
The act of okay.
So in a sense, it's like we should when you're saying you can't control your thoughts, we should define exactly what we mean by a thought when we're talking about that. Would that be a good idea?
Well, I think so. So okay. So what is going to be our definition of thought? So how should we define?
Is thought something that pops into your head, or something that anything to do with your mind?
Okay. So
or do we talk about what it's not?
Well, I don't know. If we go back to the thought experiment that we had. So when I asked you not to think about orange pigs, the first thing that came to your mind was an orange pig.
Yeah.
But I asked you not to think about it.
Well, I would have no problem to say, hey, first I had to think about it to see what you're saying, and then I would turn it off. But it doesn't mean I can't turn it off once I got it.
Well, my point was, I said, here's the money, but there's something that you need not to think about.
I agree. Once I've identified what you're talking about, it doesn't mean I can just suddenly turn it off. If I could, I would be in control of my mind. Like, I'm agreeing with you.
Yes.
But I'm walking through the process of, well, okay, let me first identify an orange pig. Okay, I got it.
I want to find
out.
out.
Now I got to turn it off.
So now I got to find out. So I'm I'm going to think about it so I know now what not to think about.
Right.
But knowing what not to think about means you have to have it in your thoughts the whole time you're trying to not think about it. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
You can't not think about something. You can't resist it without holding it close. Our friend Mir says that you can't resist it without holding it close. So you're trying to resist something,
You
automatically
gotta
push
push
it
against it. Yeah.
right? That's why when we say, I can't find my keys, I can't find my keys, I can't find my keys, is you end up not finding your keys. Right? Now, what is it you're really trying to do is you're trying to find your keys.
Yeah.
Right? But this is where we're going to get into intention. Where did you bring intention into here?
That was later on when we started talking about um, being cause instead of the effect.
Okay. So,
But so should we go through the action, emotion, thought first?
yeah, I think so. Okay.
So before a thought is an emotion, and before the emotion is is an action. Is the way it's laid out.
Well, most of us believe that we think something, then act, and then have an emotion. That's how most people believe we operate.
Yeah. The thought is the first thing we think.
Yes. Uh, if you were thinking all the time that you drove or driving, how effective would you be in your driving?
If I thought I was always thinking about driving.
If you were driving, and while you're driving, you're thinking all the time about driving.
Right.
How effective would you be as a driver?
I would assume you get into an accident pretty easily because
Yeah.
your focus is on everything you're doing. You know, your foot on the pedal, your um,
So when you first start driving, when you first
It's
start
scary.
doing something, okay?
yeah. Because
So let's look at this. When we first start driving, when I get on a brand new piece of heavy equipment for the first time and I start operating it, I got to think about everything.
yeah.
How good am I doing? How good am I at running that piece of equipment when I'm thinking about it?
Well, let's put it this way: everybody knows to stand really far away.
You had that experience, haven't you?
Well, it's so true. Once a guy is really good at what he's doing, I saw a video of these little kids with their dump trucks by the side of the road, and a huge dump truck, but not dump truck, but the crane thing was going by, and he stopped, backed up, and he poured sand into this little thing. It was magnificent to see the control he had.
Yeah.
But if he was new, the kids back off,
Yeah.
yeah. So
You
I
know,
know what you mean.
they have forklift rodeos, and seriously, where people have to pick up a quarter with the fork, and it's possible. But you really got to know what you're doing in order to have that much control. So typically, what happens is we act, emote, which is because acting is emotion, emotion is the effective motion, and then we have after that we think about it. So when somebody does something, then you ask them why they did it. They come up with a reason for doing it after they've been asked. They didn't have a reason when they first did it. Right?
That's when you're reacting to something. So if I do this,
Okay.
what happened to you? Did you have a thought about what I was doing, or
Uh,
did it cause you to think? Cause you to? That was my action.
well, my first thing was to reach out and stop it. Okay. It wasn't a thought; it was an action. I was going to take action. But I guess the point we're trying to make here is that the only this is these all seem to happen simultaneously. That's probably the best way I can say. So we can put it in a circle like this. Okay, we got action, we got emotion, we got thought. Okay?
Yeah.
But in essence, They seem to all happen simultaneously.
We do. Yeah.
Okay. If they all happen simultaneously, where's the control? Where's the control button in here? This just came to me.
Okay.
This just came to me. Action, emotion, and thought all seem to happen simultaneously. Where's the start button? Where does it start?
Um, I don't see it as happening at the same time, but I could see it. It seems like it. Nobody thinks about it. It just
Good.
seems all happen at the same time. But
Okay. So you ever notice that sometimes you can have a thought and it creates an emotion? You
yeah,
can think
of
about
course.
you can think about a memory and it creates
Oh,
an
yeah.
emotion. Okay. Which is
Exactly.
followed by an action of crying, right?
Very true.
Or laughing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know.
Depending on the
What's that?
memory. Depending on the memory.
Yeah. You can be doing something, acting, okay, running and tripping and falling. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're acting, which is followed by what?
Um, sorry, what's the acting? The running?
Yeah. So you're acting, you're doing an action. Now you emote when you fall, you hurt yourself, you're gonna emote a little bit, you're gonna start thinking. You're gonna start thinking stupid thoughts. Why did I do that? That's clumsy of me, whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically these seem to all happen. But what started you running? How'd you get to the point where you're running?
Well, I don't know, but the tripping,
Okay, I got it.
if the tripping is the action, um, I'm kind of reacting to that action.
Okay.
So this is a reactive kind of thing, which would cause an emotion of panic or fear, which is so quick, depending on how quickly you hurt yourself. I mean, if you're in an airplane and it starts to nosedive, that emotion of panic is it seems like forever.
Would
Does
you,
that come before the thought?
would you agree that this seems all automatic?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good. So if something's on automatic, okay, then you would have to be the effect of it. When we say it's automatic, you're not in control of it.
That's right.
If you're not in control of it, you're the effect of it. Agreed?
Yep.
Okay, good. Now, let's assume that we want it to be cause on this. So to be cause, would it require intention?
Exactly.
So if we now apply intention over top of this thing as an overarching principle, okay? Now, intention starts the action.
So is there thought in there, or is it just, like an idea? Or
Intention is a decision.
okay,
The decisions are never automatic.
okay, so it's a decision. Kind of opens a can of worms, because is there thought in there? Because when you have a thought, let's say we fall down and hit the pavement, and the thoughts are coming out of nowhere. It's like you're reading somebody's putting it there.
Okay.
Intention, it's almost like, well, I don't need to think. I just know what I want.
Okay.
Is that the difference? Kind of like intention, like I just picked up the phone. I didn't have to think, well, if I pick up the phone and put it over to Perry, I just
Okay.
went and did it.
So if you intend to call somebody,
Yeah.
okay, starts with intention. I intend to call Joe. You pick up the phone, followed by an action.
That's what I'm getting at. Is that a thought? Is that the difference of thought?
No, my thought is I think I should call Joe.
And then you start thinking, should I?
Followed by
Should
what?
I?
Followed by what?
The emotions.
Yeah.
That is, because is it the emotion first or thought first?
They're all almost
intertwined,
simultaneous.
yeah,
But the thing is,
maybe it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter as long as it's on automatic. It's an effect.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
That
It
makes
only
sense.
becomes non-effect or cause when you intend, and the expression of intention is a decision. Does that make sense?
It does. Now it makes me think that thought is like chatter. It's discussion or argument or
Sometimes it's known as self-talk.
yeah.
It's
You're
what
talking
we,
to yourself.
yeah.
You're having a discussion on your own or
and
something.
so if we go back to this, if we go back to the example I talked about the keys, okay? I can't find my keys. I can't find. That's an automatic thing. I can't find my. You know, when something bad happens
Yeah.
to us, we reiterate the bad that's happened to us, right? We always say like, because we're the effect of it. We're the effect of the lost keys. Okay.
Yeah.
So because we're the effect of the lost keys, we start thinking, I can't find my keys. Can't find them. We start saying, I can't find my keys. So which do we do? Think we can't find our keys or say we can't find our keys? Which comes first? Okay.
I'm assuming the thought, but who knows? You know, it's very quick, comes straight out of your mouth.
But as long
Or
as
the
you
thought
stay
is
in that
first.
cycle, right?
Yeah.
What are the chances of finding your keys?
So I'll give you the example of my son is running out the door. He hates being late.
Okay.
He can't find his keys.
Okay, good.
And so he's going through this cycle, running around, and I asked him what's going on. My keys, but I'm not in that effect mode. I'm not in that.
What is the self when he's doing that? What is the self talk?
No, I know it's self-talk, but I'm what I'm getting at is because I'm not reacting,
Okay.
I'm able to have an intention and
Sure.
say something like, "Did you look here or there?" And it's really, "Did you look in two main places?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay." That just narrowed it down.
Okay.
So um, it's like looking at those two cases at the same time. From
Yeah, well, maybe, but what about what happens? Okay, let's go back. What happens on this automatic? What happens is the action that we take on this automatic. One of the biggest actions is this self talk that kicks in.
that's right.
I can't find my keys. I lost my keys. Did anybody see my keys? I can't find my keys. Where are my keys? Where are my keys? Where are my keys? I can't find my keys. I'm going to be late.
Oh, it can even be you put them somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, what did you do with my
What'd you do with my keys?
keys?
Yeah.
So everything it just becomes this big mumble. Okay. But if we step out of that and we move to here and we want to be cause of the situation, okay?
Yeah.
We intend to find our keys and then we decide that we know where our keys are.
And that's magic compared to what we're used
And
to.
what's interesting
It's
is
not
it
magic.
works. Because the truth of the matter is you know where your keys are. You put them
there.
You put your keys there, so it's magic, right? So when we get into this,
Well, give me that example you had about your truck.
yeah, okay. So I misplaced my keys. This was about a year and a half ago. I got in the house. I had all the groceries in my arms. I set the groceries on the counter. I walked away and I thought, my keys, they're not, not in my pocket. These, well, I know where my keys are. And instantaneously, when I said to myself, I know where my keys are, well, the intention was cause the intent, make the decision, I know where my keys are. Instantaneously, I walked out to the truck, I opened the back door, I flipped up the back seat, and they were underneath the back seat. And how is it that I knew they were there? Because I put them there. I wasn't aware when I did it, but
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is I was the one that put them there, so I knew where the keys were. It's just that I didn't get into talking about not knowing where the keys were. So I went to I know where the keys are, and the second I went to I know where the keys are, I knew where the keys were.
And I think that the difference with a lot of people is even if they do that, as they're starting to go to the truck or something, they start thinking and they convince themselves they don't know and they just go veer off and
Yeah. Well, I mean, we run into that today with the pandemic. There's people that will look at data and actually see real data and convince themselves, but I don't know science. I can't look at data. I can't understand information. I have to turn to somebody else to get the information instead of looking at the data themselves. They talk themselves out of their knowing.
yes. And that is our definition of thought. It's like that internal
No, we call it self-talk. It's just
Self-talk.
that chatter. We chatter to ourselves constantly all day long.
Whereas intention is kind of an instant thing. It's not a discussion. It's just pops up there. We just pop it up, and that's
It's a decision.
yeah.
It's not a,
You don't need to discuss it in your head, kind of
there's
thing.
no discussion, there's
Right.
no counter intention, it's just intention. It's just, I know where my keys are. Boom, okay? The intention is, I've had intention before, and intention is kind of a magical thing because when you intend something, it's already a done deal.
And that's probably why it's been so difficult to explain this because, say, scientists or psychologists can't measure it, and so they've never separated the two. But I think there's a clear distinction between the two.
There's a very interesting book that's called The Intention Project, and I encourage everybody to read it. I mean, it's a great book. But with intention, you can actually change the past. They've proven it.
Really?
In that book, they've conducted a scientific experiment to change the past with intention.
What was it? I'm curious.
Uh,
It's a long story.
You have to
Read the
read
book.
it. No, well,
No, that's okay.
it's a 200-page book. You want me to summarize, but that book, intention is literally it's a particle. It has a
But it comes and goes. Like it's because once it stays, you start thinking.
Well, no, I'm going to go a little bit more esoterical. You can put intention into something. You can put intention. I can have staff members that I intend to stay with the company, and I can have staff members that I intend to leave with the company. And interesting, I just have to inform the intention. I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to say anything else. I have to take no action whatsoever. By just putting the intention there, when I have the intention that it's time for somebody to move on, within a week or 2 weeks, they're gone. They just move on. And yet I haven't said anything to anybody. I haven't treated anybody indifferently. I just create the intention. Okay? Intention is a very powerful, it's almost a godlike particle. Okay?
Yeah.
And because it has this effect on everything, we have a hard time believing because we live in a world with five senses, and we're convinced there's only five senses. Okay? Truth of the matter, there's 56 perceptics, but we're convinced, we're taught that there's five.
Right.
And anything else other than those five, we dismiss.
Scientific or esoteric or
Yeah, but we're getting in information on those 56 perceptics all the time, and they're not all physical perceptics. Okay, they may be physical. So is a radio wave physical?
Well, apparently it's acts like a particle and it acts like a wave. But
So
is it
because
physical? Yeah, they can measure it with some kind of meter.
good. Are thought waves physical?
That's a good question.
It can be measured.
Can it?
Measure
Oh yeah,
thought.
they do.
They do it all the time.
They
put
put up to a brain and
Yeah,
say
they
there's
put-
activity going on. He must be thinking.
yeah, they're getting to the point now where they can tell you what part of your brain is thinking.
That's true.
They've renamed all it. But the point is, the brain is an electrical device.
Yep.
Synapses is electrical charge passing over through a distance and be it through receptors and so forth. So that's measurable. Okay. So when you put an intention there, it's physical. It has, even though we can't see it, it has substance.
Do you have other examples that are more common that people do all the time, don't realize it's an intention? Because the one with the
Well, I can
keys-
show you lots of times when people put negative intention into things or
Yeah.
counter intention.
Okay.
You'll hear people say, I won't set goals because every time I set a goal, it goes backwards. I'm bound to fail if I set a goal. Right? So the minute they set the intention, they put a counter intention on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Or they've had the experience of counter intention. So let's see. Examples of people using intention.
Yeah, not realizing. Um,
Okay. Even though it seems automatic, some people have the intention to of always be on time, and they don't think about it. They just are always on time. Their intention is to be on time.
yeah,
And so they are known for always being on time, but they never stop and think at any given time, I need to be on time, I need to be. Their intention is being on time. Okay. And so it happens, they're on time. How many times have you had the intention to talk to somebody that you haven't talked to for 6 months or a year or 2 years,
that's a good
and
one.
the phone rings and it's that
Yes.
person?
Yeah. My wife talks about how um, she'll come home and go, I had the thought I was thinking I should stop there on the way to work, but my brain kicked in and said, well, that doesn't make sense. And now I come home and realize if I would have gone, I would have had this happen. So why didn't I, go with my intention, my first thought? Um, and I know that happens to people all the
Because
time.
intention isn't a thought.
I used to use a
Intention,
different
no, but
word.
what I'm saying is
You're
what
right.
happens is you put intention in, and this automaticity takes over.
Yeah,
So a lot
the
of people,
machine starts going.
when they say, I know where my keys are, what's the first word that's come out of their mouth? Their chatter after that is "fuck you."
That's right.
Who do you think you are? You know where your keys are. You've never known where your keys are before. You always lose your damn keys, right?
Yeah.
Okay? And we have this self-talk. Well, we even argue with ourselves. There's an I, and then there's the one that calls you you. No, no, you can't. We say, I'm going to do that, and the other part of you, the other voice says, no, you can't. It doesn't say, no, I can't. It says, no, you can't.
Well, that's the problem I've had with affirmations because I'll sit there, but I haven't done it for a long time.
Well, here's the key. The fact that you have to repeat an affirmation means that you put the counter intention in already on the affirmation.
How so?
Well, because if you have to repeat it, means it's not in. If the intention's in, it doesn't need repeating. So what you're doing is instead of saying I decided, you're saying I'm deciding. No, I'm not. I'm deciding. No, I'm not. I decided.
It's
No,
it's
I didn't.
almost like hypnotism, just keep repeating it over and over, or a habit. You figure that if you keep repeating it, you'll eventually get the habit of thinking that way.
The people who use this thing of intention will do this. Okay, they will create a dream board
Yeah.
and then never look at it. Put it in a closet or something. And then 2 years later, when they're moving, they'll pull out this dream board and they'll look at all the pictures on the dream board and realize everything they put on that dream board came to pass.
Yes, and I've done that.
But they've never thought about anything on that dream board after they put it away. Okay?
Yeah.
So what they used as intention, they made a decision. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
it's done. It doesn't need to be reaffirmed, 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 reaffirmed. It's done.
You know what and I totally agree. I always why did it work? The intention, yes, but by I just use magazine clippings.
Yeah.
By going through the process, I was able to kind of solidify what exactly I wanted. It wasn't this vague thing. Now it wasn't vague, and boom! Once I did it, I looked at it and went, "Yeah, that's it," and that was it. My decision, because
Done.
saying you want to, saying I wanted a beautiful girlfriend. In what way? Beautiful on the inside out. So it was too vague. And then when I started looking at pictures, oh yeah, somebody that looks intelligent, or somebody who's successful, or somebody, whatever those things were. And all of a sudden I went, yeah, that's exactly what I want.
Okay. So affirmation is, right, trying to override this, or trying to control this, trying to use this as the mechanism to get it in.
It's almost to me like it's trying to create a new one of those, like a positive one of those, but it's still reactive, even if it's positive.
Absolutely. Well, because the minute you have to reiterate it means that it's gone. Okay. Why would you have to write down your name if you already know your name? Do you know your name?
Yeah.
Do you have to think about it?
I don't even have to prove it. I know. I don't have to get somebody to confirm it for me.
So you don't have to say in the mirror every night, "My name is Dave. My name is David. My name is David. My name is David." You have no part of that, right?
No.
Okay. So at some point in your life, you decided that your name is David, and so it is.
Yeah.
Never open to question. You never have to doubt. There's no doubt in it. There's no thought process in
I
it.
don't even have to think about it. Yeah.
It just is. Okay,
Yeah.
because it's been decided, right?
Yeah.
So there's a thing called be do have. Be do have. Okay. So this would be.
Decide. Yeah.
So I decide I'm a person who knows where I always know. I just decided. I decided I always know. I do. I just always know. I never have to reiterate it. I never have to convince anybody. I don't have to tell anybody. I just know that I always know. I know that I know.
So you're not looking for confirmation when you decide.
And that, remember, when you put your thing, you put your dream board in the closet, you weren't looking for confirmation.
That's true. I didn't go show it around to people.
Didn't matter. It was done.
That's true.
Already done.
I just had to know what I wanted.
It was already done. You didn't have to go look for confirmation. Yeah, 2 years later, you bring it on and go, oh, that's interesting. Everything I put on here is here, right? You never thought about it. You never got excited about it when it showed up. It was just a matter of fact.
Well, my wife tells that story when we got married. Of she did it in her speech at our wedding, saying, "Yeah, I made a list of what I wanted in a husband, and David actually fit all those things except I asked for somebody that was bilingual, but I forgot to specify French and English. He's Croatian and English, so you got what you asked for."
Good. Now, do you think she had to take that list and reiterate it, reread it every day, and validate it, affirm it, and all those other things?
No, she just had to figure it out. That's why she wrote it out, and then she was happy with that. Moved on.
So later on in the book, we're going to talk about patches, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, see, that whole affirmation thing. You see, what you're trying to do with the affirmation is you're not doing this. What you're trying to do is overcome that.
You are trying to overwrite it, I think.
You're trying to control being the effect. You're going to be effect by being effect.
Control the effect you take. Yeah, interesting.
But the situation is quite frankly, as long as you're operating in that automatic loop, and the world tells you this is how it works, right?
Also,
Well, everybody says this. Most people, if you ask them what comes first, thought, motion, or action, they always say, "Well, it's thought."
thought. Yeah.
They'll always call that.
What I'm getting at is I just want to really solidify what thought is, and it's a reaction. It comes from a reaction. That's why you have no control over it. It's
Pretty
a
well.
self-thought talk. It's not intention. Is this instantaneous thing that's hard to, like, right after it? Most people have the self-talk, so just assume it's the same thing,
Uh-huh.
and that's what I'm trying to make sure. Sorry, I keep hitting the
All
camera.
right. Well, that's what. Okay, so we have intention, and you see, if we have intention, then we did make the decision. So something can come in here. Okay. What can happen here before we have an intention, and then we get a counter intention. Because intention is a thought. But now a counter intention is a thought that comes in on the intention.
Right.
Which prevents us, does a break, and prevents the decision from being made.
Well, in that case, you have intention. It should almost be called intention counter thought instead of intention counter intention.
Well, it could be, yes.
I mean, I know what you mean. Counter intention. It's because it's an opposite to the intention, but it's
But
a
then
thought.
if it's a counter thought, it would be intention would be a thought. No, the counter thought, the thought creates the counter intention.
There you go. That
Okay?
works.
It's not counter thought, because then intention would have to be a thought, and intention is not a thought. But thinking about it creates a counter intention.
And that opens up a whole new can of worms that I think we should take a break and see where we're at.
Okay, good.